Hey, my horse-loving math friends. Today we're going to be talking about the value of each place value. All right. When they're asking us to start talking about place value, we need to realize that where numbers are matters. So here we've got the place value chart, and what this would look like would be 352 and 14 hundredths. Now I know how to read that because where the numbers are placed in each row. Sometimes I like to think of this like horse stalls because each horse has its own specific stall that it goes to, and horses can get upset if they're not put in the right stalls. So I really feel it's important to make sure we know what's in what stall so we can take care of that. So one thing that's important about the place value of whole numbers is that as we move this way with our numbers, the value gets larger by 10 times for each stall we move over. And then if we go to the right, it's going to get smaller by 10. And so the numbers get the numbers get smaller. This is really helpful when we think about, for example, like time. If if we have a barrel racing run and it's a 13-second run and 400ths, right? And then we have another barrel racer who ran the run in 13 and 5400ths. Well, we know this one is smaller than this one because all the numbers are the same except for this place value right here. This one doesn't have any tenths in it, but this one has 5 tenths in it. So it's bigger. The one on the bottom is bigger, making it take longer to get that barrel racing run in. Now, where we place these numbers matter, and what this looks like is if I have a 5 in this one stall, well, that just means I have 5 horses. But if I move this 5 over here to the 10 stall, well, now I've got 5 10s. So now I'm up to 50 horses. So then what happens if I move it over one more to the 100 stall? Well, now I've got 500 horses. But the same is so now, so as the 5 moves to the left, it's getting bigger. Now, if we were to move it back over to the right, it's going to get smaller each time, correct? So if we're at 5 over here, now that's 500 horses. And then if we move it over to the 10s, well, now that's just 50 horses. So it's kind of how you read it. So you've got to know what each of these stalls mean. So then that way, when they ask you, when math problems ask you to think about, which place value is the tens place value bigger than the ones place value? Well, yes. And then because, it's to the left of the ones. But if it asks you if the ones place value is smaller than the tens place value, you'd be like, well, no, it's not smaller than that. All right, so let's look at this down here. So, horse show entries. There were 5,673 horses entered in a big rodeo. What is the value of the six in 5,673? All right, well, here is my ones place. Here's my seven, my tens, and then my hundreds. So the value of this would be 600, right? You could also say it's in the hundreds place. All right. How is the value of the 6 10 times the value of the 7 to its right? Well, 10 times the value. Well, it's because 10 times 10 equals what? 100. And it's one place value difference. So it's one place difference. And 10 times 10 equals 100 would be the other reason. Another thing to think about is that between these place values, it is a value of 10 between them. So when it's asking me to compare, let's say, the thousands place value to the ones, well, you've got 1, then 10 times 10. 10 times 10 is 100, and then you times it by 10 again, and that gives you your thousands, right? So you had 3 sets of 10 between them, meaning each time you move a stall over, it goes up by 10. It's almost imagine you had, you know, like a cheap horse that's only worth $1, and then you move to the stall next to it. Well, now that horse is worth $10. And then this stall, and then you times that one by 10. So now this is $100 horse. And then each time you move over, the horse value goes up because the further you walk down your barn alley this way, the more their value increases. And then vice versa, the more you go this way, well, then they go down by 10 because we're in a base 10 system here. All right, let's look down here. Hay bales for horses. A rancher bought 3,240 bales of hay for her horses. What is the value of the two in the number 3,240? Well, we've got, again, a 2 in this place here. Well, we know the value of that is 200. So it's in the hundreds place. Okay. How is the value of the 2 related to the 4 to its right? Well, it's 10 times bigger. Okay. These aren't the best questions that we have here for an example. Okay, good deals. So a lot of place value is just making sure that you realize that the further we move to the left, the larger, and then each stall increases by 10. All right. If we go to the right, smaller, and it decreases by 10, by sets of 10. Join us on School for our online community where we meet 2 to 3 times weekly with virtual calls, and I can take your questions live and provide some feedback. Also, enjoy our horse challenges that we have available throughout the week just to have some camaraderie and know that we're not alone in this horse loving, but we have to do math journey.